What's up gamers and welcome to my Pumpkin Hill tutorial. I'm gonna run through some basic movement stuff and just anything in general that I feel like would help out some hero story runs. Now, one thing to note is that this will be done in new game, so that at the start I will have to go and obtain the upgrade and also get the hint as well behind the upgrade, and then read that and then process and go to my piece. So yeah, this will be a general guide for just everything new game, Pumpkin Hill. So the first thing to note, obviously, is how you move from the very beginning of the stage, and what I usually do is this. And I get to the hint and the upgrade at around 297. You can definitely do it way faster than this with a better turn, but I'll go through in detail what I just did now. So after getting the aerial punch style, which looks exactly like that, what I do next is I let Knuckles fall onto the beam below, which isn't actually too slow since the distance between Knuckles now and the beam is really small, so he's not going to be falling for very long. And as soon as he touches the beam, I press B again to do another punch to get right back to full speed immediately. And then at the end of this beam, right near the upgrade, I jump and glide onto the platform. And then I go around to the back of the upgrade and press B on the hint while I hit the upgrade. I actually messed that up there, but... So you've made it to this platform, and by this point you should probably have already read your hint whilst going into the upgrade, but if you haven't already seen it, you can just do a quick pause. So I have Tombstone by some grass here. So in this case, to get to church, what I would do is I would just go quickly across onto this beam and then run across with a punch. Because running is a lot faster than gliding in this game, so going across that beam on foot is so much faster than just gliding across to the rocket. If my piece was on Ghost Train, say from reading the hint, I would do the exact same thing, but I would do it on this beam instead to get straight across to this rocket, and then from here you can basically radar read any of the ambiguous pieces on Ghost Train. So for my pieces on Pumpkin Mountain from here, I do the exact same thing by running across the beam, but I'm much more wary of the camera, because the camera can really mess around with you if you try and run backwards on the beam. For example, if I'm... Like, I just tried to turn the camera entirely there, and it froze towards Ghost Train Mountain, and made it really, really awkward of an angle to get onto the beam. So what I usually do is, I do a full jump whilst turning the camera, just to make sure that I can land on the beam. And then, from here I do a punch onto the starting platform, across it to get the max speed, and then I do a jump and glide all the way across the pumpkin rocket. A glide reset is definitely necessary there to make sure you have enough height to get to the rocket. And then from here, obviously I know which piece I have on Pumpkin, so I can just go straight to it and collect it. In situations where you're sent to the bottom of Church Mountain for piece 1, say for example, I came across here, I read my hint, and it said something like Three Brothers Tombstone or Shady Place. What I would do is I would go to collect this hint, this piece. So I collect my Three Brothers Tombstone piece, I get the hint, which should have just about regenerated by now, and usually... 9 times out of 10, it will be on Pumpkin for piece 2. There's only one possible piece called Under the Tracks, which can be on Ghost Train, and even at this point, you would still do the same procedure from here. What you would do is you would go immediately towards this spring, dig twice into it, go up, check Angel's Ring across the way if this is New Game Plus, but obviously this is more of a hero story focused tutorial, so you probably wouldn't be doing that. And then you go straight to the rocket and go all the way across to Pumpkin Mountain. If my piece 1 is low down on Ghost Train, like Scramble for the Emeralds, instead of taking the rocket across the beam, I'll actually just glide straight across to this lower area of Ghost Train and climb up. This saves you so much time, since that rocket is actually really, really slow compared to just climbing that short amount. And from a low Ghost Train piece, like Scramble for the Emeralds, what you want to do is collect it and then go immediately across to the hint on this platform here and assume that it's gonna be on Pumpkin Mountain, so like you start gliding towards the Pumpkin Mountain rocket as you read the hint, because... it's more likely than not to be on Pumpkin Mountain. If it's not, then you quickly turn your angle towards Church, and you're able to make it onto this upgrade platform. And then from there you can just either jump and glide across or run on the beam like I mentioned earlier. Obviously, if your piece was on Pumpkin Mountain, you would just continue going towards the rocket and then straight towards your piece. If you get Three-Face Ghost question mark, you're fine. If you get Three-Face Ghost for a period, then you should just cry about it and reset. Some low pieces on Ghost Train require you to take the win, for example something like second score from the top, fifth from the bottom. What I would do for this is I would glide towards Ghost Train as if I was going to go into the wall and then climb up for the lower Ghost Train pieces. And then on the way, if I do get second score, since it's an ambiguous piece, I can determine if it's the one on the left or on the right, because you'll see the one on the left. It will actually be right about here. right about where Knuckles is now on this skull, you know, second skull from the top. And if you don't see that on approach to Ghost Train Mountain, what you can do is you can just go around the side like this and it will be on the other side if it's not on that side. And from here you want to take the wind. It's just the fastest way to climb up here, because climbing in general is quite slow, so if you take the wind you can grab the piece really quickly, and this goes for pieces such as a pathline with rings. And also both the second skull from the top pieces. Although for this one you have to climb a little bit because it's slightly high up. And skulls on the left and right. For it's about to fall off piece one, you can actually jump on the slope that the piece is on to get to the next hint really quickly. So double containers is a really awkward piece because it's completely ambiguous and there are 3 different locations it can be in the map, all in completely separate mountains across the map. So there's one on Pumpkin, there's one on Church, and there's one on Ghost Train, which makes it a really awful piece to guess incorrectly. So the best route I recommend taking for this story style is I would go straight towards the one on Ghost Train first, and then if it's not pinging before you hit the rocket, like just before you get to this platform, is where it should start pinging. You turn around immediately and glide to the rocket for Church. I take the low rocket for Church because it actually, if it's on Church, it would start pinging during the rocket ride, and if you don't get a moment of pinging at all during this ride, it's on Pumpkin. So from here, you can just go straight across to the rocket, take this rocket, and then you're at the one on Pumpkin. Unfortunate if you do get the Pumpkin double containers though. Forgotten Hut is easily the most advanced piece 1 to go for because there's actually a really high level strat that I would recommend doing, and it's completely missing the hint if it's the Church one. So for example, if I get Forgotten Hut, there's 2 places that this could be. It could either be on Church Mountain or Ghost Train Mountain, a little bit like double containers. Luckily there's only 2 of them though, and the sets aren't as bad as double containers, so what I usually do is I actually go towards Church first for this one. And then if it's not pinging towards on Church, I go to the one from Ghost Train using the height from the Church rocket, and then I just punch that one and continue with it. If it is on Church, grabbing this piece the most optimal way is actually really difficult because it's on a really small ledge and there's a ghost that's like situated right in the middle of the ledge that tries to pop up and just stun you and make you lose a bunch of time. So usually what I do for this is I try and land sort of far back on the ledge and then punch into it and then keep them going like this. That was actually a really slow example. I didn't get the punch assault that I wanted from it, but either way it works out. So we got the piece, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna read any hints at all. Why do I not read a hint? It's because like all of my sets have a P2 on Pumpkin from here. The only set that doesn't have a P2 on Pumpkin is with an Under the Tracks piece 2, which is like an incredibly rare chance, and if you do happen to get this, then that's quite unfortunate, but you're going to save a lot of time out in average just by going straight towards Pumpkin. Your piece is very likely to be here, and then getting the hint loses you a bunch of time. From here, you can actually radar read pretty much every piece too on Pumpkin Mountain, and it's really difficult to do this, so I'll do a pretty brief run through of how to get radar for the pieces you probably won't have radar for unless you know where to go. I'm not going to tell you what radar means what piece, you can probably figure that out by yourself, but essentially, after taking the rocket ride, I immediately go to the right, I start gliding around until I see the top of this free-face ghost thing here, and then, if it's not there, I quickly take a glance at Side-Eyed Pumpkin over there, and then I go towards this Side-Eyed Pumpkin. And if it's neither of those pieces, you have literally got completely owned by the game and you got Under the Tracks, which is really unfortunate. There's not a whole lot you can do, it's like a 1 in 30 chance that you get owned this badly. Moving on to piece 2s now, and if you get Side-Eyed Pumpkin, it's an ambiguous piece, it can be in 2 locations. One of the pumpkins is far behind Pumpkin Mountain, and the other one is kind of in between Pumpkin Mountain and Ghost Train Mountain. Now, what you want to know about this piece is that you should pretty much almost always check the far one first, unless you're coming from Ghost Train and your piece 1 is double containers. For whatever reason, the double containers in Ghost Train Mountain seems to spawn the close side-eye pumpkin like almost all of the time. I believe there is one or two sets that do have the far side-eye pumpkin, but like 9 times out of 10, you will get the close side-eye pumpkin with this piece 1. So you could just go straight across to this one and hope. It's also worth mentioning that no other Ghost Train piece 1s actually spawn the close side-eyed pumpkin piece 2, so if you get it from Ghost Train at any point, you should always go straight to the far side-eyed pumpkin as it's basically confirmed. So actually, one cool thing you can do with double containers piece 1 that I forgot to mention is this short wall run here. And as you can see, I make it all the way to this platform with a hint, with enough height from just general glides and glide resetting that I don't have to climb at all, and it's really, really fast. What I'm doing really is I'm punching onto the slope to get on the wall very briefly, and then with the momentum I have on the wall, I'm jumping straight away to make sure I keep all of this height, and then I get to glide straight across, and if I don't have enough height, I can just land on this pillar and jump. Speaking of wall runs, my favorite piece of stage tech has got to be this hint wall run you can do here. So if you gain a little bit of height coming from this area where Ghost Train Station is and the person you've been waiting for has finally arrived, what I like to do is I like to jump on one of these platforms. So if I have the person you've been waiting for, I grab the piece and then jump, obviously because the piece is on this platform. But if I have Ghost Train Station, I just loop around, jump off of this platform like this, and then I glide across to this ledge, because now I have just the perfect amount of height to do this war run. I go across the ledge, and then I punch to read the hint, and then punch again really quickly to get a punch cell off of it to maintain my height and also a little bit of extra speed. So I read the hint whilst running on the side of that mountain edge, and now I have my hint, and also I'm already gliding towards my next piece. This is a really, really fast strat. I will now play the alternative to not doing this strat. You can really see just how much you lose in comparison to running along the ledge and reading the hint. It's actually such an easy strat to learn as well. If you're coming from a top of church piece 1 and your piece 2 is lower on Pumpkin Mountain, it's actually faster to completely skip the rocket and glide towards it. So, high pray for a harvest by the way, but what you want to do is, say if you had Scramble for the Emeralds piece 2 or Scarecrow protecting the container, you'll notice that if I glide straight towards it, I have basically just the right amount of height to go straight to it and dig. And at that point, you're saving a lot of time compared to taking the rocket, because the rocket is completely unnecessary in this situation. It'll put you way higher up than you need to be, and you'll just lose a lot of time to it. This also goes for pieces down here, like it's about to fall off on Pumpkin Snowman, even more so actually. You lose so much time to taking the rocket to these pieces. For the piece Lost Pumpkin, you could actually dig into the side of the mountain to obtain it, but this is only faster if you're coming from lower on the mountain. I see a lot of people do this regardless, even if they have enough height to dig into the top like this. Digging into the top will still save you time if you have the height to do it. The only reason you'd ever want to dig into the side is if you were coming from a little bit lower like this, and you didn't want to climb all the way up. You can just go about here, where the 2 bars on the side of the mountain are. You can dig straight in the middle of it and you'll still obtain the piece. A similar thing with Bearded Mountain, you don't actually have to dig right in the center of the bid. You can dig slightly off to the side like here, and you'll still obtain the piece. It's just slightly quicker not having to go all the way around the mountain. So yeah, thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot of things about Pumpkin Hill by watching this, and I hope your hero runs go better because of it. I'm gonna do a couple of run-throughs of the stage now as well, just so you can see some extra things that I might have missed during the video, and just some general playthroughs of the stage for reference. I'll see you around. Thanks for watching the video. Oh my god, that's actually Pumpkin Hill Story Style World Record, I think.
よし、完璧だぜ。
ステージを選ぶのよ。